Like, I felt like a failure. I felt like everything that I worked hard for, leaving South Carolina, making my family proud, doing these things, it was that identity that I built on being here. So now that I'm not here or working at this company or having this title or making this X amount of dollars, I instantly felt like a failure. Man, you have to really know who you are. That
Right.
moment taught me you have to know who you are. You have to be comfortable with who you are without anything. And so that's the stage that I'm in, is learning who I truly am without things. And
Right.
I'm learning
Back to your fantasy now. Go, go. And on the count of three, everybody run back to your fantasy now.
Welcome to the Opportunity Room, the podcast where we invite inspiring minds to share untold stories of resilience, reinvention, and legacy. Today's guest is someone whose career and creativity defy boxes. Kelsie Satori is a dynamic leader, music storyteller, and entrepreneur. After 14 years in big tech, working at companies like Microsoft, Meta, she made an intentional pivot, not because she had to, but because she chose to bet on herself. She's now the founder of Crates and Coffee, a lifestyle brand rooted in intentional living and love for vinyl culture, and Drop the Needle Vinyl Club, a growing community for music lovers. Through her platform, Shift Work, she helps people pivot in their careers and rediscover what truly matters. Let's dive into her journey of shifting lanes, building community through music, designing life on her own terms. Kelsie, welcome to the Opportunity Room.
Thank you. Thank you for having
So
me.
tell us in your own words, who's Kelsie?
Kelsey is a a believer. I'm a music storyteller. From a family standpoint, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a niece, I'm an auntie. I'm somebody who is rediscovering, what it truly means that I want to do and what I'm truly aligned with.
Nice, beautifully framed. So, Kelsie, what values from your upbringing originally you from what is it, South Carolina, right?
Carolina, yeah.
Yeah, you originally from South Carolina. So, what values of your upbringing shape your approach to your career and creativity today?
I think from, early on, just seeing my grandmother, she was a entrepreneur. She was a seamstress. She was very hardworking. She also had another job, so she was doing multiple jobs. My dad, he also was a fireman, battalion chief, and then he also had his landscaping business. So I think seeing hard work early on was very beneficial to me and where I'm at in my life today. Um, I love to work in a sense, and now I'm getting to kind of work from a passion standpoint. And so just being able to align myself with the hard work that's in me to do work that I want to do and work that I really see impact that can have, towards others.
So, between your grandma and your yeah, between your grandmother and your father, who actually had that who helped you actually dream big and when you were growing up? Is it both or just
It's both. It's
okay?
both. Like my grandmother would tell me what her dreams were. She didn't get to go after those dreams, but just to know that she had thoughts like that was amazing. My dad too, he's always been encouraging, and so is my mom, my whole family really,
Okay.
my whole like standpoint. But they've always been encouraging my aunt, my brother, just to push. I'm from Sumter, South Carolina.
Okay.
Shout out to the 803. And it's a small town, but I knew early on I needed to get out. Like I knew early on I wanted to see more outside of South Carolina. I wanted to see more outside of the United States. And
Okay.
so I knew it was going to take hard work to get me there.
So when did you decide to actually move from South Carolina to Atlanta, Georgia?
So that was during after high school and for my collegiate years. So that's when I had a friend already out there, and I just kind of wanted to take a leap of faith and leave. And I remember having that discussion with like my grandmother and and my dad and my mom and my family, and just I already had it lined up of how I was going to be able to afford, and I'm gonna get this job and all these things, and I made it happen. And so I ended up going out there, and that was my first time leaving the nest, and I haven't looked back. So that was in 2008, and I haven't been back since.
All right. So you and I obviously went to college together in Atlanta, Georgia. That's how I get to meet you. You're very quiet, just doing what you need to do at school, and just didn't waste no time after school. So yeah, after you graduated school, was Microsoft your very first job?
So no, while I was in school and towards the end of it, I was working at Office Max. I was working at the Impress department in Office Max in Atlanta, and then during that time, Craigslist
Okay.
had an ad for job positioning for like a store. They were opening a store at Lenox at the time, and that's when I saw the ad. So I was applying, just looking for, I wanted to get out of Impress. And
Okay.
so the job, I went for the interviews, had to go through like two or three, and it ended up being the Microsoft store that they were opening at Lenox. And so that's how I got my foot into the Microsoft world, was starting at their retail stores that they were just brand new doing. It was new. I think at the time they were really trying to like give Apple a little run for their money with their Apple stores, and we started popping up. And so that's how I got into Microsoft, and I kind of
I
worked
am
my way
highly
up.
surprised that
Yeah.
Microsoft actually was actually advertising their job on Craigslist back in the day.
They didn't have Microsoft store, so they didn't put like we're opening a Microsoft store on Craigslist. They just had like retail store. You
Okay.
didn't know
Okay.
until you went. You're like, what? Like this is crazy. And so that's
Wow.
very like I wouldn't believe it if it wasn't me. Cause like,
Right. Absolutely. Now I'm
you know
even
what I'm saying?
shocked.
Yeah,
So
that's how it happened. And we had to meet at like they had their headquarters in Atlanta, which I never knew was there. Like they had their own
right.
building. We met our interviews there, and then we opened up our first store um, at Lenox Square. And if I'm not mistaken, I think we were store number 14.
Okay. All right.
If you remember
Nice.
this, if somebody watches this, let me know if that's true.
So now, Kelsey, tell us what was that interview process like?
Oh, man, I always tell this story, and shout out to Eric Fields. I remember him asking me, if you had any superpower in the world, what would that superpower be? And I'm sitting here thinking, like, I was up all night studying like RAM and thinking it's going to be so technical and
Right.
back in that time. And he's asking me if I could have any superpower, what would it be? Like I thought I was getting punked low key. Like first this is on Craigslist, then I show up and it's at Microsoft. Like, all right, where's Ashton? But I remember saying, if I could have any superpower, I would want to be like a teleporter. And so if we were out of some type of product within the store, I'll be able to, zoom, go get it, zoom back in, deliver that product to the customer, and we have a happy customer. And, I guess Eric loved that answer. So here we are today. And that's how I got in. I think we had some group interviews. That was my first time experiencing kind of like a panel style, group interview style. We
Okay.
went through about 2 to 3 rounds. There was
Okay.
a part where they partnered us with somebody. You had to tell why your partner deserved the job, and your partner had to say why you deserved the job, and you had to rely on somebody you just met 10
Right.
minutes ago to sell you.
Right.
But shout out to Cody. We both ended up getting our jobs, so it was a cool experience, and I really feel like that whole experience kind of set me up for my next career journey 7 years later. So that was
Right.
amazing.
So how long did you work to Microsoft altogether on that store?
Altogether, Microsoft, and I went through a few different roles, was 7 years. They got
Okay.
7 good years. Yeah.
So how easy was it for you to pivot from one role to another? What was the requirement? Did you just up and change role, or they just say, hey, Kelsey, you've been working for this position for a while, switch over? How did that go about?
Within Microsoft.
Yes.
So at the beginning, I was starting off, in the retail division. So I started off as like a learning specialist in Atlanta, and then the more stores began to open, the more roles began to get open, and that's when I wanted to go for like the learning specialist in another state, in another place, kind of higher. And I ended up moving to Jacksonville, Florida,
Okay.
so that I can be their learning specialist. And for me, it was kind of like doing, well, at the time I think I was a tech. I think I was a technician, so I got to move into this learning role, and I also got to move again. So now it's from South Carolina to Georgia, and then from Georgia to Jacksonville, Florida.
Right.
I was there for a minute, and then I made my way up in within that store, kind of working that store in the positions, and just did some different things. And then from there, Microsoft and Best Buy started a partnership, and that's when we started opening Microsoft stores within Best Buys, and they still exist to this day. I'm not sure how it's being ran, but that was the new thing at the time was we wanted to open up a store within the Best Buy, and I became the North Carolina learning regional person for there. I
Nice.
was over Winston-Salem, Greensboro, and Burlington, I believe, North Carolina. And so that was what I was doing from that standpoint, is making sure those stores were in tip-top shape, from the way it looked to our merchandise to our sales to making sure the employees there had the knowledge. And so it was really like running a shop for the North Carolina.
Nice, nice, nice.
Thank you.
So tell us about what happened. When did you decide, okay, it was enough with Microsoft, now I'm going to move to Meta? Or did they just reach out to you? How did that work?
I started applying. I want to say when this is by this time I had moved to North Carolina. I was living in High Point, North Carolina. It was just a lot of things that was happening within on a personal standpoint, from losing a really really close best friend of mine. We both worked within Microsoft, and it just felt like, honestly, losing him, it was time to go. And so that's when I
Okay.
started applying. And I remember having an interview, and I remember the manager at the time telling me that I wasn't a good fit for his team, but they would keep me in mind if another team came along and if I was a good fit. And somehow, some way, a couple of months later, a new team was coming around, and I got back tossed into the interviews, and I had 5 interviews. They flew me out to Austin, Texas. This is the first time I've experienced, you know, oh my gosh, I'm flying out for this interview. They paid
Right.
for it. I was younger, so I was just like, oh gosh, like this is about to be a big girl's job.
Right.
And mind you, I was just doing 7 years at Microsoft, so you would think that
Right.
I wouldn't be as nervous or antsy, but I was very antsy. And I remember telling my family, like, Facebook, I got an interview with Facebook. And at the time, they were like, what? How do you work for Facebook? They just saw the social media platform
Right.
was on at the
Right.
time. A job there wasn't really making sense. And so I remember at this time I had already moved up into corporate Microsoft too. So I had just gotten a new corporate role out of the Charlotte office. I was a technical account manager, so from the retail division on to the big leagues of Microsoft, and I had just gotten
Right.
into this role for 2 weeks. I was in this role for 2 weeks when
Wow.
Facebook came along, and I had to make a decision whether I was going to ride it out with Microsoft, who has been great to me for the last seven
Right.
years, or take on a whole new adventure with Facebook at the time, because it wasn't even Meta yet, it was Facebook at the time. And they gave me my offer, and I was like, whoa, wow. And still yet, I still wasn't sure, even with this being like the highest salary I've ever been offered. I would have to move the furthest I've ever been from my family and move into
Right.
Texas.
Right.
And so talked to everybody. Everybody that was close was like, stay put. I come from a very old school kind of minded, like,
Right.
hey, this is a great job. 7 years in, like, this is Microsoft. You don't leave it to go work for some website company at the time. But I had one person that was like, no, go, go. And I did. And man, that was probably the greatest decision I could have ever made, was to take that job offer and move to Austin, Texas, and work for Facebook.
And why is that?
Because Facebook taught me so much just about who I was as a person. It allowed me to see the world. Like I traveled the world a lot throughout my 7 years. I made some really great connections at the
Okay.
time, which is something that I would say relationships, but it's connections, because some
Right.
connections, they
Right.
end, but you learn while you're in them. I got to just meet a lot of smart and great, intelligent, kind-hearted, open-minded people from all over the world and experience a lot of different cultures. Not only did it just allow me to experience the world and allow me to live a certain way, but it just allowed me to just really grow as a person.
Nice. Nice. So, what was some of the most transformative lesson you learned while working at big tech?
Man, I think transitioning now into this entrepreneur state that I'm kind of in is being busy doesn't always equal productivity, and you don't have to be as fast to really get things done. You can slow down. I'm being forced to slow down. These last, I think it'll be 6 months in a couple of weeks. These last 6 months has made me slow down, and it's hard. It's hard for somebody who's been like this for the last 14 years to slow down, to have slower mornings, to just wake up and be like, what do I want to do today? Like, what do I want to focus on today? And so that's been different to transition into. But the more I'm getting my routine, the more I'm, seeing some things come out of it, the more I'm appreciating it. I'm appreciating being able to even be in this time period too.
Okay. So now you've obviously you work in those big tech giants for roughly what, about 14 years altogether?
Years altogether. That's a
Yeah,
long
that's
time.
a lot of time though.
Yeah, I'm like, dang, how old am I for real?
Right. Yeah, but yeah, good experience though. So, but then again, then after that, you decided to pivot, right?
Yeah.
So, what triggered that decision make?
I mean, well, outside of the layoff,
Right,
that was the biggest like I don't even know, crossroads
right,
of the layoff. And just to dive into it, it was like I want to say for the last few years, layoffs kind of started happening, and you
right.
kind of knew, they kind of got a heads up at some points. We found out when everybody else saw an article drop, and then they would, come back and let us know, whatever. But for this particular one, we did know. I was, ready. Like, hey, check your emails. You might get an email, you might not. Top deal. That's how it was.
Right,
But going into that morning, I was told we were good. I was
right,
told, my team was good.
right.
But in fact, my team was good. I just wasn't. I wasn't. I wasn't good. And so, I would be lying if I said for the past couple of years I haven't been wanting to do something different, wanting to change.
Okay,
And I have, and I've been asking for it, and praying for it in a sense. I mean, like I said, I'm a believer, but I didn't know that change was going to be a layoff email 7 a.m. in the morning. Like, I wasn't expecting that.
okay,
Either a new job or a new role, or pivot and join a new team, maybe within the company. But I never was expecting a layoff per se.
So let me digress a little bit.
Yeah.
Tell us exactly what were you doing at Meta at that time? What was your responsibility, job
Yeah, so I was
responsibility?
a global learning program manager at the time, and directly, I had a few programs that I had to that I was responsible for when it comes to the design, the execution, working with vendors. When we had vendors working on another, like we'll say, like third party program in a sense, and really it was just my job to crank out programs, get butts in seats, have high quality content that allow our employees to learn and be better in their roles. And at the time, Go Build was the program that I was really really focusing on, and it was like a equivalent to your Lean Six Sigma and allowing you to get your belts. And there were moments when the program was thriving. There was moments when the program wasn't thriving. But I learned a lot in that process. It's just vendor management and in that nature, putting a program together and project managing things. And I'm starting to really realize how much I've learned while I'm in this state of pushing out my own branding and programmings and events. And so all those skills that I did learn while I was there are very much so coming in handy today.
Absolutely. Do you think that automation has something to do with the fact that you guys were laid off?
And absolutely. I think they're really figuring out that we can get these, computer and technology to do jobs, you know, cheaper. I
Okay,
think that, AI is a two-headed sword. It's so intelligent, it's so smart, it's so helpful, it's so useful. But you have to remember, like, it's replacing something. It's replacing someone or something. And so I think the more, they continue to feed it, and the more it's learning how we're working, how we're doing these daily tasks and getting jobs done for these corporations, I think the less physical bodies, they're going to eventually need. And it's unfortunate because the tech space used to be such a safe space. You felt so safe working in this industry, but like the tech space is the space that's also creating this AI giant.
So after the layoff, I know you a lot of things might have actually gone into your mind at that time. It's
Absolutely.
it's not easy at all to digest. But what mindset actually helped you see that moment, not as the end, but just as a beginning to a new project for you?
It took a while.
Okay.
I felt like I had to grieve this thing for a minute. Like
Right.
I was down and out for like 2 weeks because it was
Right.
just like revealing. I had to, oh my gosh, realize that I'm more than, my job title. I'm more than the salary that I was making. I'm more than the company I worked for. But I was in this space for so long. It's kind of like I built my identity on it. Like, I'm Kelsie, I work in tech. Like I work for this company, that company. And I was proud. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was very, very proud. So having to kind of, unlearn that and realize that, yeah, I have done these things and I've did it for a long time and I've learned a lot of skills. But now I get to kind of apply all of that and chase dreams that I kind of put aside because I was so focused and so in that space and wanting to climb that ladder and be this manager that I don't even know why I wanted to be that.
Right.
Like, I don't want to be a director or VP for a high tech company. I don't want to do that forever.
Mhm.
Like, at some point, I want to move closer to home and leave
Right.
Chicago and build me like a little compound on some land and roast coffee beans for crates and coffee and garden, like, and fish. That's literally what I want to do in my late 40s and 50s at some point. So
Right.
I had to kind of get that reality check, and I'm glad I got it now versus continuing to burn. And not to say that I won't never going back into a space, a corporate space. But I did tell myself that for the rest of this year, I
Right.
wanted to just slow down and just see where my life will kind of steer itself on its own versus jumping right back into that environment that I know I wasn't happy in for the last couple of years.
Yeah, truly like your mentality and your mindset. Yeah, I don't know if that came from being from South Carolina. It's just a buildup of your exposure and all that stuff. We may have to talk about that in a little bit.
Oh, for
So, how
sure.
did the idea of crates and coffee came to life?
Oh man. So Crepes and coffees came from my mornings. That's a morning routine of mine is putting a record on and fixing me some coffee. And it's always been a thing with music and coffee in the mornings. And I think just once I got laid off, I had time to actually set my camera up one day and record it. And so that's when I started posting it on Instagram of me every day, a new record, every day we fixing coffee. And then one day I was like, I kind of want to make this experience like a live experience. And so I partnered with a coffee shop here in Chicago called Muse Coffee Studio, owned by George, black owned. I asked him, could I have I didn't even know what to call it. I just wanted to have a session from 6 to 9,
Right.
have a few bottles of wine. People can just come in free. I had 4 DJs lined up at this first event. I had some tote bags that had crates and coffee sold. And I had a cookie company there that was giving out sample cookies called Dough Snatchers. Check them out, Chicago. And it was a cool vibe. Like, we had people playing Uno, playing spades, talking. We was rotating out DJs, so you had different types of music. And it was just a nice, chill, slow night. And so it went well. And so we were like, let's do another one. So we did one a month later. And so now we're on the cadence of once a month. And pretty soon I'm working on a coffee line with it. I'm working with a local roaster, and I'm trying to figure out how we can have crates and coffee. And so that's something that I'm working on. But that's really how it started. It's just me kind of showcasing my morning routine because now I felt like I had the time to do so.
Now the meta job. I thought the meta job was in Texas, or were you working
So yeah,
remote?
I was living in Austin, Texas, when I first got the meta job, and I was there from for 6.5 years. I moved from Texas in 2021, right after the pandemic. We were kind of like in this state where we can either go remote or stay, but we wasn't in the office still. And so at the time, I decided to go remote and move. And at the time, I thought I was going to move to Long Beach, California. I was set. I had just went on this trip and checked it out. I wanted to be near the water. Like I was about to get my West Coast Cali girl on. I was about to get it on. But then I went to Chicago very last minute and I fell in love with Chicago. Like Lake Michigan's right there. You get all your seasons. You get snow. You get summertime. Like it's beautiful. It's city. It's so much to do nonstop. I don't care if it's cold or wintertime. There's always something to do.
Right.
And last minute changed my mind and I moved to Chicago. And so I was still working for Meta while I was working here.
Yeah, because I missed that part of the story. That's why I had to bring it
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
So now, what give you that mindset to always just up and travel like that? Was that family? Was that you just like
That's
where does it
that
come
is
from?
that's it's me. It's me because nobody moves. I told you like my whole family's still home.
Right,
My brother lives maybe like 40 minutes away, if that, from my parents. Like he's right in Columbia, South Carolina. We're in
right,
South Carolina, so it's very close. I just always, I don't know. I have an uncle who's a goer too, like that. My mom's brother, Uncle Jimmy. I don't know. I just told you like very early on, I knew like I wasn't gonna just sit in Sumter, South Carolina. I wasn't gonna just sit here. Like
right,
I just knew, no. And I don't mind. Like I will pick up and move in a minute. Like I'm good now because I bought a home here in
right.
Chicago. But yeah, from living in Atlanta to Florida, um, to Texas and now Illinois, like I don't mind seeing the world. It's meant for us to see. That's how I look at it.
Congratulations on your house. I mean, I
Thank
think
you.
it's very good that you have that mindset. And a lot of people are just stuck in their ways and just whatever their parents used to do and whatever the environment do, they just kind of
No,
inherit that and just stay in that low post. But yeah, you just
no. I wanted to give my family someplace to see too, and that,
right,
that was a big motivation for me too, because I know my parents, my family are all in Sumter, and to me, if I lived in Texas, then they get to come to Texas.
right.
Now, granted, they didn't take advantage of it as much as they should because they were also scared to get on a plane. And it took me buying a house for my mom and dad to finally get on a plane. And, they had to come to my house for me. I wouldn't have let them live it down if they missed it. Uh,
Right.
and I'm glad they did because they got to experience their first flight. And now, once the airlines get their acts together, I hope we can get them back on a plane and do some true family traveling. But my aunt Sharon, she came and visited me everywhere I live. Like she was ready. She was always down, and my grandfather. So I appreciate that. But to me, that's what it was about. It was about me being able to experience it, and also allowing my family to experience some different places too.
Nice, nice, beautiful. So now, in your story, I haven't heard anything that deals with music, with how you become a DJ. Just tell me how that came about. Just from South Carolina, you came to Atlanta, you just become this tech
Man,
girl, and then now just where did that creativity,
DJ,
music,
I
and
know.
purpose as a DJ just came about?
It probably seems very random, but music has always, always, always been a part of my life since I was young. From um, playing the drums at church, or
Okay,
being self-taught to do that, to playing the saxophone in my middle school years, all the way up into my high school, and then I parked it a little bit. My brother plays sax, so that's something that we share special. That we both, are pretty good on the saxophone.
okay,
To having a singing family, like everybody in my family pretty much can sing. I realized my talent is playing instruments. My talent is DJing. I don't think I'm the best singer. I can hold a note, but I'm not gonna blow you down or anything like that. And
right,
so it's always been a part. My grandparents had vinyls in the house, so grew up on records. Grew up on like very much old school singing, old school gospel quartet singing was
right.
also something I grew up on. Having to travel on Sundays and go to choir anniversaries and hearing singing, or somebody's uh, having their fourth 25th anniversary, and now we got 14 choirs lined up to sing, and just being in that atmosphere as a young child. So music has always been. But how DJing kind of came about is when I first got to Facebook. I had a coworker invite me out to go see a DJ, go to a show. And I
Right.
didn't know who we were going to go see or what it was, but this was my new coworker. I wanted to bond and build relationships in my mind, always thinking about, the work side of things.
Right.
And so we get there and it's Questlove. He's the DJ of the night. And I was just so amazed that we had tickets to see Questlove. He didn't say a word. He just came on. He had his pick in his head. He like gave us a quick piece and he rocked it out, spin for 2 hours and just had all types of people and culture there just rocking for 2 hours. You wasn't thinking about nothing.
Right.
I don't even have much footage. I don't think I have any footage because I wasn't even on my phone. I was so caught up in the moment
Right.
that I wasn't trying to record myself. And that's how I know when you got me not really trying to be on my phone like that, I'm not even focused on something and I'm like in the moment, I'm sold. And so that next day, I went to Guitar Center and bought me the cheapest board that I could afford at the time. Started getting on YouTube, and my friends can like vouch. I would FaceTime them and try to like do something. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was determined to teach myself or learn, as I could go. But then, this is probably October that this is happening. Our holiday party was in December, and the DJ at the time was DJing, and he was killing it. And I was just like, man, I gotta go connect with him. And I'm there. We had an open bar. I'm highly intoxicated here, and I'm screaming at him like, I want to learn how to DJ. I want to learn how to DJ. And he's looking at me like I'm crazy, but he invites me up.
Right.
He's like, if you're serious, contact me after the holidays, yada yada. And I did, and so much he had his own DJ academy in Austin, Texas, and so I started going to the academy once a week, learning some things, learning some basics, and from there, now I'm, Kelsie Satori. I DJ here and there. I'm starting to realize now that I have more time to DJ
Right.
that I don't want it to be my end all be all. I don't want it to be like my full time thing because there's a part of me that still wants to love it and appreciate it for the hobby that it kind of started from.
Right.
And as I'm getting more gigs and getting so booked, I'm just realizing like, man, it's kind of taken away from that creativity. Or now that I have Crates and Coffee, I'm kind of like creating or curating the space where I
Okay.
could freely spin and be that open format DJ and spin from time to time. But I also want Crates and Coffee to be a space where other DJs feel comfortable to start. Because I remember early on, I was so nervous when I had these gigs. 'Cause I just felt like my music or my taste of music wasn't aligning with the atmosphere of the type of venues and gigs that I was booking.
Right.
So with Crates and Coffee, it's open. We're playing spades, we drinking wine, we're chatting. So you can be free and be who you are musically. And we can just also enjoy hearing something different than what we're hearing all the time. So that's how I became a DJ. I kind of got off track there, but that's how I became a DJ. And that's kind of what the space of what I want Crates and Coffee to be too. Music and your thing. What's that?
Right. All right. Good. Good. Nice. So, how do you use music as a form of storytelling and healing?
For me, the music, the sounds, the words, different songs put together different sections of a story, chapters. There's certain songs that you can remember that you hear that you're like, you know what you were doing, or there's certain moments that you're having and you can remember that song that was playing, or you remember what song that moment makes you think of because it just goes hand in hand. And so when I'm having a gig or a set that I can just truly be open with, I want to take my listeners on a story. And there's been times where I plan these stories out, and there's been times where you got a free story on the spot because the energy just took me to a very open space. And I just think music does that. It heals when you hear certain songs, it makes you feel better. It's like when you have your pick-me-up song to pick you up in the morning. So when you go to the gym, there's a certain type of
Right.
music that you want to hear in the gym. You don't want to
Right.
hear, well, everybody has their own thing, so let me not say that, but there's certain music that you put on for certain feelings and certain times, and you want it to do something for you. And so I just think music is so powerful and it's so inviting. And it's like one of those things that you can really get a mass of different types of people that can be united because of music. And so you just have to protect it. You have to protect music and arts and things of that nature because it's powerful. It brings people together. And
Right.
there's some spaces that don't like that. But, it can be a healing tool to do those things and bringing people together.
Now, let me take it back to a little further because I know South Carolina is one of the home has a lot of heritage when it comes to slavery, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever think about just going to Africa and just visiting Africa? I don't know if you have been yet, just to get in touch with your roots or trace your roots back. Because I saw Rihanna last week. She went to Benin in Africa because she was able to trace her roots back to Benin, and they give her citizenship, right, just because of that. So
Wow.
did you think about just going there just to kind of add to your tool of skill set and creativity by just since you like to travel and just discover
Yeah.
new places, so
I so I have taken one of those tests. I won a contest at work that allowed you to take one of the tests to kind of trace your
your
background, your
lineage,
ancestry,
right?
yeah, your lineage. And I found out that I am 50% Nigerian.
Really?
Yes, and one of my best friends, he's Nigerian, and so that's my thing that I like to say. Like I'm in there. You know what I'm saying? I'm in there. I'm in the crew.
Right.
And so I would love to go back. I would love to go to Nigeria. I haven't experienced that yet, but it's definitely something I want to do. I'm sure it's something that I'm going to do. Hopefully, I get to do with my bestie and get to experience just the culture and the people. I also have a good friend. We were roommates while we were living in Austin. She's Nigerian, and I just got to experience that culture. There's
Right.
a meal that she makes for me that I love. She just visited me, and I made her cook it for me. So I feel
Nice.
very connected with the culture. I just got to go there and get it firsthand.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. I'll invite you to Senegal if you've never been. So,
bring me. I'm down. I'm always
uh,
down. I'm always down.
all right. So now let's talk about crepes and coffee a little bit.
Yeah,
So,
let's do it.
what's your long-term vision of that? What do you plan on taking that?
Man, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like this all kind of spin about in the last 6 months, honestly.
Right,
At first it started off as just me, showing what I'm doing in the mornings. Also, I needed to be busy. I also realized I needed to do something.
absolutely.
Because I just wasn't used to not working. So it
Right,
kind of gave me. But currently I want to continue to grow the branding of itself of being, slower mornings, because that's where it started from, like slowing
right,
people down, like slow down,
right,
enjoy what's in front of you. When we have these live sessions on Friday nights, like it's a slow Friday night. I push like, come have a slow Friday night, come chill, come listen to some good music, have a
right,
glass of wine, have a mocktail. I'm on my sober journey. I don't drink, but I know those do and they enjoy that. So just come slow down a bit and just enjoy yourself and have some meaningful conversation. I do want to eventually have my own coffee business with it. Crates and coffee. It just makes sense to me, and I love a good cup of coffee. I want to, do my own roasting. Like this is what I hope to be doing in my later years. Is somewhere in South Carolina, maybe just roasting coffee and disperse, sending out bags to people who want to buy my coffee.
right,
But where it can truly, truly go, I have no expectations. I don't want to
right,
disappoint myself.
right,
But I also don't want to limit and say, oh, this is it, because I don't know. It's growing authentically. And I want it to continue to be authentic and continue to grow just from a passion and from people kind of pouring into it
right.
and just seeing where it goes. I honestly have no expectation. I just know at some point I want a coffee line. That's the most I can tell you I do want, for sure.
It all started with an idea, it
It
all
all
started
started
with
with
an
an
idea.
idea. Yeah.
Yep. And you
Yeah.
just believe in it, and God knows what He was gonna take you to. So,
Absolutely.
so are you doing career coaching as well?
So that kind of is also coming about, authentically by itself. It's just having a few friends that I've been speaking to. I guess them seeing me firsthand,
Right,
having a career, having to pivot,
right,
starting brands. How are you doing it? I guess because it's happening fast towards what people see is happening
right,
versus the back end. And people, expressing to me like, oh, I want to do that, but how? How are you doing X, Y, and Z? How are you able to do things? And so I've been having sessions, like 60-minute sessions. I call it shift work because you got
Right.
to shift, like just shift work and getting them to figure out, first what it is they want to do.
Right.
What do you feel like is your barriers? Like what's holding you back? And then we scope out a plan on how to get them started. Once we get that plan, we also scope out what it looks like to potentially scale this thing out. And then we have some follow-up plans for them, some action items for them, and then I also follow up. And it's been kind of happening. Oh, this worked for me. Thank you. They tell someone, they hit me up, and I'm like, okay. I look at it as like I'm a professional thought partner. That's a
Okay.
term that we used to use at my former company of helping somebody like think through ideas. And that's something I used to love to do with people back at my former company. And so now I'm kind of doing it for others. Is helping them think, and I'm helping people to where they're scaling their business ideas. I had somebody that wants to learn how to DJ, so we're focused. That's their focus. Just someone that's just want to talk on how to push through that fear barrier. That's the biggest thing. Is a fear barrier. I talked to somebody that's a photographer. They don't know how they got this passion, but they don't know. No one knows. Like, have you had any gigs? Like, no. Well, did you tell people that you were a photographer?
Right.
No. So it's like, okay. That was a conversation I had with a future friend that we was just on a boat together talking about it, and now
Right.
he's doing his thing. So it's just been something fun. Working in the learning and development space, I think I just have this desire to help people when I can. And
Right.
from a entrepreneur side, it was just something to look into. Like maybe you should start doing some coaching. I just don't like to say coaching.
Right.
'Cause I'm like, I'm nobody's coach. You know what I mean? I'm not. Maybe because I think coach, I think Phil Jackson, some old person. I don't know. So maybe maybe that's what's throwing me off. And I think coach, but
Well, it's
I
still
like.
coaching. You sit as an advisor. You providing guidance and things like that. You still as a coach.
Okay, I gotta look at it that well, a
Yeah.
coach, but I've been trying to say like, oh, I'm a thought partner. But
Right.
that's what I do. There's a link in my IG bio. You can set up a 60-minute appointment, and let's get you going. Let's get you going.
Now, are you getting paid for all of these sessions and things like that? Because obviously you're touching different things right now. Are you getting paid
Yeah,
for that?
yeah. So the sessions, my friends that I started off with were just kind of me getting some preps, getting some reps in
Right.
how I want to approach it. But now that the link is live, like these are sessions. It's not like crazy expensive. It's just if I'm gonna block out 60 minutes of just time, I just need a little something just to help me, pay my mortgage and do what I got to do in bills. So it's
Right.
not something that I'm like really utilizing as like my full-time job, but
Right.
it's one of my lanes that I have open. So yeah, you can book a session with me today, right now, tomorrow. My calendar is all set with everything, and this is something that I'm utilizing as an income stream, but it's also something that I get very much rewarded from just seeing people push through
Right.
push through that barrier and actually go towards their goals.
Nice. 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 So today, if I wanted to like just decided to pivot, what kind of piece of advice would you give me if I'm stuck in a, like, for instance, I don't like doing IT anymore. It's no longer aligned with what I want what I want out of my life. What piece of advice would you give me?
The biggest thing that I would say, and I know it may sound simple, but decide what it is that you want to focus on. And you can focus on many things. I have many things going on, right? But the one thing I would tell somebody to do is to just do it. If you're going to start that podcast, start that podcast. Like, don't
Right.
wait to get the best mic equipment, or if you want to start DJing, start DJing. Like, find you a board at whatever cost. Like, you don't have to go get a fancy board. I think my board was very cheap, very basic.
Right.
It's that initial starting that I'm learning, even with talking to different clients that I'm having with my strategy calls, like starting. And that's the thing that I tell them, in order for this to work, in order for us to get you where you want to be, or if you to start that thing, you have to be fearless. Like, that's
Right.
my tagline. You have to. Because if you're waiting for that perfect time, if you're waiting for you to get your ideas all organized, and if you're waiting to get that website up, and if you're waiting, you know what I'm saying? If you're waiting
Right.
to do that, you're never gonna do. Like you're
Right.
never going to do. I need people to get back into get back in the trunk. I say that too. Get back to selling out the trunk. Like you remember
Right.
people used to sell stuff out the trunk? Like they wasn't waiting for that. They wasn't waiting to go put it in Walmart or waiting for that deal. We were
Right.
selling out the trunk. Like I think back to the fish dinners at the church. The dinners. Like we had to go to Ryan's and Shoney's and all that. We had somebody was selling plates at behind. They wasn't waiting to be in a fancy restaurant. Like just start.
Right.
And even if it takes you doing a little bit at a time to start, like
Right.
you gotta do it. And for me, I tell myself that like it's that fear is real. We're wondering what people are thinking. Like I had to really push through that,
Right.
caught up in what other people thought about what I'm doing.
Right.
Oh my God, what are people gonna think? Like, oh, she worked in tech for so long. Now she's selling strategy sessions. Now
Right.
she pushing crates and coffee. Now she got a vinyl club. Like, and I had to really be like, yo, like, I can't worry about those things. Like, I I'm proud of where I'm at. I'm proud of being able to have time to think like, what do I want to do? There's time where I think about I'm gonna put my house on Airbnb and I'm gonna travel for a little bit longer and get me
Right.
a RV. I like hardcore thinking about this because that's the position I'm able to do. And so I encourage anybody like chase your passions. I know it sounds cliche, and I know it took me getting laid off to kind of get into this point because
Right.
if I honestly didn't get laid off, I would have continued to be in that space, knowing
Right.
I didn't want to be in that space.
Right.
But that security of what I thought was financial security, like we call it the golden handcuffs, you get tied up, you get caught up in that world. And so, yeah, I don't even remember the original question, but push through and break through that fear.
No, you did answer the question. You did answer it perfectly. So I think I like that approach because when I decided to launch this podcast, I didn't think twice. It was just
See?
I realized that a lot of people, many people looking at us, they don't have access to information. They don't have access to opportunities. And I was like, let me create this platform where I invite people to tell their stories
Yeah.
so people can actually learn from it and just make that a strategy, right? So somebody might be sitting today at a very dark space and just looking at your story and then like, wow, mine is not that bad. You look at how Kelsie was able to pivot after being in corporate America over 14 years, right? So that's why I created this podcast. And like you mentioned, I did not wait to have a perfect mic or perfect setting. I'm doing this in my living room, so I'm not even thinking twice, right? So I'm like, let's do this. I don't know who helped actually Nike come up with that line, just do it,
Just do
but that's
it.
that's the perfect line ever. Just get up and do it. So
Just do it. Go.
right.
Like let's make it even shorter. Go.
Yeah. Yep. 100% agree.
Yeah.
So now, obviously, you're no longer in the trap of corporate America and all of that stuff. You're living. What does living boldly, freely mean to you today, right now?
Man, I think living boldly and freely, that's my new measurement of success.
Right.
That's how I'm measuring how successful I am. How much time do I really have to do what I want to do? How much time do I have to spend time with my family and my friends? And I
Right.
feel like the longer time I have is the more success I feel like I must have if I'm able to really enjoy myself and do things I want to do. And it's like next month, I'm going home for the month. And when I say that, and I'm like, man, I'm about to go home for the month.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm gonna start in DC and go see my best friend and spend some time up there. Then I'm gonna make my way down and spend with my family, get ready for my brother's big day and his big weekends.
Right.
But just to be able to do that, you know what I mean? Like it may seem small, but I get to go home and kick it for a month and not think twice. And so
Right.
that's success. Like that is freedom. That is being bold. And I still get to do and be able to run the things that I'm doing right now. And man, it feels good. I think that's another reason why I'm not too like pressed to get back into the corporate
Right.
9 to 5 is the stress list that I feel like
Right.
I'm down 30 pounds. My skin is clearer. Like I feel free. Like
Nice.
you know
Beautiful.
what I mean? Like it all plays a part. Like I'm not drinking. Like that atmosphere, traveling on the go, that tech, we out, we having fun after meetings, after if we're working, we're drink like I'm not in that, and I don't miss that so much. That's
Right.
another reason why coffee's into play. Like, I'm not drinking like that. I'm drinking coffee. I'm drinking tea.
Just like you stated, you're learning to slow down, slow the whole motion down. So that
Yes,
makes
that's why I
perfect
love
sense.
vinyl. Vinyl makes you slow down. You're not about to
Right.
sit here and skip tracks. You're gonna listen to this body of work all the way through, unless you
Right.
feel like picking up and dropping a needle every track, but you typically don't.
Right.
And it makes you just enjoy and just slow down. And so I think slower pace Kelsey is the Kelsey that I didn't realize I missed or needed, um, versus that go high strung, which I
Right.
still kind of am because I'm still doing things, but it's things that I enjoy and it's things that I'm passionate about, so it doesn't
Right.
feel as high strung.
Right. Beautifully said. Tell us one moment of failure that taught you the most. Could be anything, right? You don't have to.
Yeah, one moment of
Because
failure.
now let me reframe that. Because people have the tendency of thinking failure as something negative. It's not always negative, right? Because
No.
I don't look at failure as something negative. I always look at it as an opportunity, right? To learn something or to do something differently, right? So that's
Well,
how I look at
when I first got laid off, I felt like a failure. And you would be like, "What?" Like 7 years
it.
later.
Expand on it a little bit.
Yeah, when I first got laid off, I felt like a failure because I felt like, dang, I should have worked even harder so that they didn't want to lay me off. Like, why was I the only person, from my team to get that cut? Like, and there were other people within my org that got cut, but for me, I was taking it so personally. Like, I felt like a failure. I felt like everything that I worked hard for, leaving South Carolina, making my family proud, doing these things, it was that identity that I built on being here. So now that I'm not here or working at this company or having this title or making this X amount of dollars, I instantly felt like a failure. And so I had to get out of that. Shout out to my therapist. And like I had to sit and kind of like go through photos and looked at these last 14 years. I had to look at my resume. I had to look at myself.
Right.
Like that's not who you are. Like that's what you did for a long time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so that moment taught me, man, you have to really know who you are. That
Right.
moment taught me you have to know who you are. You have to be comfortable with who you are
Right.
without anything. And so that's the stage that I'm in, is learning who I truly am without things. And
Right.
I'm learning that I'm pretty cool. I'm okay. I'm I still have what it takes to do whatever I want to do. I'm still that girl. I still chase dreams.
Right.
I still know how to get goals or get to
Right.
my goals. It's just my goals and my dreams they're looking a lot different these days than what they looked like 14 years ago. And I think that's what scared me the most, is like, oh my gosh, like you like camping, you like being outside. You're not that girl that the hype girl, which I still am to a sense, but it's just things that I appreciate, my gratitude, the things that I'm grateful for
Right.
looks a lot different. And so that was like, wow, like it's a huge like awareness piece or awakening, if you will, discovering yourself, because you get caught up in what you think you want, and you get caught up in the dreams that you thought you had until you don't have them anymore. And it's like, wait a minute, I never wanted those dreams anyway. I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for the experience.
Right.
But why was I trying to be somebody's VP? Like, why? Like, no. Like, no.
Yeah, I think that state of mind and that space you're at right now, it comes with maturity and wisdom, right, throughout the
Yeah.
years. And I honestly don't look at anything as failures. I mean, I had to use that word failure, but I always look at it as an opportunity, as a moment to think about yourself, reflect on yourself, reflect on your past, and be grateful for everything that's happening, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
definitely not a failure for me. So tell me one song that describe your current season.
Oh my gosh. One song. I Trust You, Lord, Testimony by James Fortune. That's a song that I play every morning. I've been playing it every morning since February 10th.
Right.
Because I feel like I am truly in a season of having to trust. And it's because I have no plan. I've been a planner. I've been a planner all my life. I set
Right.
these goals and I knock them down. Like, that's just who I am.
Right.
This time I didn't have like, oh, on my vision board for 2025, I'm gonna get laid off, and I didn't have it on my board. So it was kind of like not, well, it wasn't expected, and so now I have to trust that whatever God is up to, that He knows what He's doing. I'm enjoying the ride. I'm enjoying the slowness. I'm enjoying the patience that He's making me have. I'm enjoying the time that I get with my family. I'm enjoying my friends. I'm enjoying trying new things. And so I'm just grateful because everybody can't just get laid off and then decide to quote unquote kind of kick it for a year and figure out what they want to do. So that
Right.
alone, I'm grateful for. That alone. I am truly grateful, especially in this climate where it feels like I can call 4 people that I know probably been laid off that been laid off in the last. You know what I'm saying? So this climate is not also easy to navigate, and so being able to kind of be slowed down in it is, I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to tell you, don't look at layoff as a bad thing because or you not being good enough. Because I remember I used to work at AT&T. I've worked at AT&T for 4 years, and every year, because one of AT&T's strategy is merger and acquisition, right? So every year they acquire a new company. So what happened with acquiring a new company? They end up laying off a lot of people to make room for the new people coming in. So people that they usually lay off, it's not because they're not good enough or they're not smart enough. It's because they have to make room for the new people from the old company that they just acquire, right? So and that's just how they run their business, because they need people who have expertise from this new platform or this new company that they acquire,
Yeah.
right? So in order for them to make that deal happen, they have to let some people go. Now that doesn't necessarily translate into these people that they're letting go, they're not smart enough. And one of my jobs that I got laid off for, I never got laid off at AT&T, but I was working at this cloud joint called, well, I'm not going to name them here, but they laid me off, right? So, and it was an opportunity for me to go back home and stay there for a whole year, because I get to go home all the time, but that was a very good opportunity for me to go and stay there for a whole year and just get in touch with roots, get in touch with my people, just
Yes.
do basic thing, right? Just speak my own language, don't have to speak English, don't have to force myself in trying to be proper, just do whatever I wanted to do. So it's not always a bad thing. It's just a good time to reflect on yourself and just think about what's your next move, and which is you're actually doing
Yeah.
very, very well with
Thank
all of this project and coaching and coffee and crates and DJing and all these things that you have on the
you. So many
pipeline.
things, right?
Yeah, and I just want, wish you nothing but success on those endeavors.
Thank you so much.
So um, we like to pack this into 1 hour. This was very, very, very actually enjoyable.
Thank you.
It was
I
an
was just yapping.
opportunity for me to catch up to, just tell me one last question that I always ask my guests, and I will just close this interview. Uh, what advice would you give to your 20-year self right now?
Dream bigger. Dream bigger. Dream bigger.
Dream bigger.
Dream bigger.
All right.
What I thought was big dreams then, like, dream bigger.
Right. Don't limit
Absolutely.
yourself, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So, Kelsie, again, thank you for reminding us that just pivots aren't just detours, they are actually decisions. Your story shows that reinvention is not only possible but powerful, especially when it's rooted in purpose and community and authenticity. Just I love your whole story. We went to actually we attended the same college, but
Yeah.
I didn't know this much about you.
Yeah.
For those of you that are listening and standing at the edge of new chapters, may this conversation be the nudge you need, to leap right. Follow Kelsey's journey and check out Crates and Coffee.
Yes.
Drop the Needle Vinyl Club and
Yes.
shift work. We'll drop the links, and all this information later on. But just one last word for our listeners before we let you go.
Live it up. Chase your dreams. Slow down. And always have gratitude.
All right, that was Kelsey. And until next time, this is the Opportunity Room where every story opens a door. So this is your host, Amadou Cole. Don't wait, just do it like Kelsey stated.
Hey, go. Peace.
That's what I'm talking about.